Have you ever been in the middle of a conversation and just you feel something shift, you know? It's like this tiny little detail that no one else seems to catch. Well, today we are diving deep into the psychology behind people who, well, see what others don't. We're going to explore why that feeling isn't just you, it's not just real, but it's a sign of how your brain is uniquely wired. So let's get into it. Yeah, this feeling right here. This is exactly where it all begins. It's that subtle micro-expression, a tiny hesitation, maybe a silence that just hangs in the air a half second too long. You pick up on it, like, instantly. But then you look around the room and nothing. You're the only one. And for just a split second, you think, did I just imagine that?
So let me be crystal clear about this. You are not making it up. What's happening in those moments isn't you being too sensitive or overthinking things. Nope. There is a well-researched biological reason your brain works this way. Your perception is absolutely real. But how does this actually work? What's going on under the hood? Let's peel back the layers and take a look at the science of why you notice all the things you do. It really all comes down to how your brain decides to filter reality. Okay, think of it like this. Your brain is a bouncer at a super exclusive nightclub, and its main job is to manage the velvet rope of your attention, deciding what information gets in and what has to wait outside. It's making these snap judgments all day long about what's important and what's just, background noise. Now, the technical term for this brain bouncer is latent inhibition. It's just the brain's built-in knack for ignoring things it has already seen a million times and filed away as unimportant. For most people, this filter is working on overdrive. And this is where things get really interesting. See, most people have what we call high latent inhibition. It's a super efficient filter that creates a good enough picture of reality. But if you're one of those people who notices the little things, you might just have low latent inhibition. Your brain's bouncer is, well, it's a bit more relaxed. More stuff gets through, more details, more subtleties. You're getting a much richer stream of raw data about the world around you. This tendency to have a wider, more open filter is actually the hallmark of a really well-studied trait. It's called sensory processing sensitivity, or SPS. Now, it gets misunderstood all the time as being like fragile or overly emotional. But really, at its core, it has nothing to do with emotion. It's about processing. It's the tendency to take in all that extra data and just think about it more deeply. And hey, if this is starting to sound pretty familiar, you're definitely not alone. Research shows this trait is found in about 15 to 20% of the population. It's not a flaw, it's a built-in survival strategy. We see it in over 100 other species, too. It's the part of the group that basically says, hang on a second, let's stop and really look at this before we just jump in. Now, I want you to just look at this number for a second. 50%. What could half of all people possibly miss? So, in this famous study from 1999, people were told to watch a video of a basketball game and count the number of passes. Sounds simple enough, right? But while they were so focused on counting, something else happened. Something that half of the people totally missed. They missed a person in a full-on gorilla suit walking right through the middle of the game. I'm not kidding. This brilliantly shows us a phenomenon called inattentional blindness. When our brains are super focused on one thing, they can literally become blind to other things that are right there in plain sight. The brain just files the gorilla away as not relevant to the task. But here's the kicker. If your brain has that less aggressive filter we talked about, you're counting the passes and you see the gorilla. You are experiencing the exact same event as everyone else, but your reality of that event is fundamentally different. You're just getting more of the picture. But let's be honest for a minute. Seeing the world this way doesn't always feel like a superpower, does it? In fact, for a lot of years, it can feel pretty confusing, maybe even isolating. There's a real cost to noticing what other people don't. Does any of this sound familiar to you? You say something that feels completely obvious, but it just lands with a thud. You can sense a problem brewing at work weeks before it blows up, and all the while, people are telling you you're just overthinking it, or you're being too sensitive. It all adds up, doesn't it? And over time, something starts to happen. You quietly start to question your own judgment. You find yourself hesitating before you speak up. That second guessing, it's not a personality flaw. It's a learned response from years and years of having your accurate perceptions totally dismissed by the people around you. You literally learn to trust yourself less. And there's a physical cost to this too.
Brain imaging studies actually show that people with high SPS have way more activity in the parts of the brain tied to awareness and empathy. So while everyone else is just kind of following the words in a conversation, your brain is tracking tone, body language, unspoken tensions, all of it all at once. It's exhausting. Of course it is. You're doing more work.
So what on earth do we do with all this? Well, this is the turning point. The goal isn't to somehow notice less. The goal is to finally learn how to separate what you're actually seeing from that layer of doubt you've learned to pile on top of it.
This distinction right here is absolutely key. On one side, you have the signal. That's the raw data, your clear awareness what's actually happening. But on the other side, you've got the second guessing. That's the overthinking, the hesitation, that little voice of learned doubt that tells you you're probably wrong. We've got to see these as two totally separate things.
This is really the heart of it all. The struggle has never, ever been your ability to perceive things so clearly. The real cost, the thing that's been holding you back, is the habit of immediately questioning that perception.
So how do we fix that? How do we start to build that trust back up in ourselves? Well, this is the path forward. It's about giving your awareness a little bit of structure so it can finally become a source of clarity instead of a source of anxiety.
Just look at the difference here. Without any structure, that powerful awareness just turns inward and becomes overthinking, hesitation, and just plain exhaustion. But with a simple structure, that exact same awareness turns into clarity, confidence, and genuine insight. You see? You don't need less awareness, you just need a better way to handle it.
Okay, let's get really practical. Here's a simple 3-step way you can start today. First, just notice the signal. That's it. Don't analyze it, don't judge it, just notice it. Second, acknowledge it to yourself without judgment. Just say, I'm noticing a shift in the tone of voice. No story, just the data. And third, start small. Use this perception on something that's low stakes, just to prove to yourself that it works. This is how you rebuild that muscle of self-trust, one small observation at a time.
So I want to leave you with this one final thought. For your whole life, maybe you thought something was wrong with you for seeing so much. But what if the problem was never your perception at all? What if the only issue was that nobody ever showed you how to use it? What would change for you if you started to believe that your way of seeing the world isn't a burden, but a tool you're just now learning to master?